Hi, I'm Frances Proctor, otherwise known as Angel Eyes Online. Today I'm going to be answering a question that came up on the Top Graphics forum. Flyboat wanted to know how to fix this old photo to restore some of these lighter, washed out areas, maybe bring back a little bit of detail, and so that's what we're going to do today. So before I begin, one of the things I just want to reiterate is that I think an old photo has a certain ambiance to it. And what I'm going to do in this photo, I'm going to bring back some of these areas, but I'm going to do it without destroying that old photo look. You know, it's got a little bit of weathering down here. I'm going to reduce this discoloration, but I'm not going to completely fix it. And again, some of these washed out areas, I'm going to do a little bit of photo trickery to bring back some of the detail and some of the color in there. But the whole idea behind this is you want this to be a subtle fix. You don't want this to be a glaringly retouched photo. So let's start by looking over the photo. Now, I've already mentioned this area down here. Up here along the roof line, it's a little soft, and we could bring back a little bit more detail in this roof line. We could do that fairly easily. And we're going to look at this area here between the two pathways, and we're going to try to bring back more detail down in here, but not so much up in here where it doesn't need as much. Over in here, we can bring back easily a little bit more detail in here. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about the paths, because to be honest, I'm working in a low resolution photo from the forums that I just copied and pasted from the post. So there's not a lot of detail in here in these sections for me to bring back. And we're going to do a little bit, you could do a little bit of work on this area using the same techniques that I'm doing on here. And then this little section in here, where I'm just going to zoom in for a few minutes, you can see that there's quite a loss of color and texture here to the bricks. So I'm going to show you a little trick on some trickery on how we're going to bring back some of that texture and blend it in. Again, we want to do this in a subtle way. So let's start up here with the roof line, because this is going to be the quickest and the easiest. So I'm going to zoom out, and for this, as well as some of the other areas, we're going to use the new magnetic lasso tool, because this really has some awesome and powerful abilities that is going to allow us to do some really neat things. So let's start by selecting the magnetic lasso tool. It lives here on the same flyout with all the rest of your region tools and masking tools. So once we've done that, I'm just going to simply go down here. I'm going to click right about here at the edge of the photo. Because what we're going to do is we're going to try and follow the roof line fairly closely. And you're still probably going to want to do a bit of feathering, but not so much on here. So now I'm going to click about here. You can see how well it follows the edges, and I'm going to click right in here, and these cables might provide a little bit of difficulty for the tool. So I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to click fairly close together to go through here. And zoom out, and I'm going to click about there. And what I'm doing here too is I'm trying to avoid some of these areas up in here, because I'm not going to retouch those. You could, if you really wanted to and you had a better resolution photo, look at maybe removing some of those with the photo healing tool. Now we're going to get a much easier and a much better solution to take bigger bits with. along here. So now I'm going to go up to this edge here. And I'm going to go and start taking just some smaller bits down here. And we're going to go on here. You can see how it kind of follows the edges of the washed out parts quite well. So I'm going to go down here. Maybe another one here. And over here. Probably washed out there as much as I thought it would. Alright. There we go. That's looking pretty good. We're going to be adding some feathering to this, so I'm not too worried about this, but you can kind of see how it's following along the washed out areas along this roof. Back along here, and then I'm just going to go back up here and click there, and it conveniently follows the edge of the photo when you're outside the photo edge. That part I like. Good stuff. Alright, now we've got our region made, and I'm simply going to go to the photo editing tools, and I'm going to darken it down a bit. And I'm going to use the desaturation tool on this just a little bit. As you can see, as you darken it down, it's enhancing some of the sepia tones in here, and I'm going to try and match up with the rest of the photo as much as I possibly can. So we're going to just slightly desaturate it just a bit. You don't want to over desaturate it. You just want the tones to match. And that is looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go over here to the contrast. And I'm going to give it a wee bit of contrast. So help bring out some of the details. You can see it darkens it a bit more, so we might want to ease up on the darkening just a bit. You see, it's a bit of a play to get your tones to match. And the other thing I'm going to do is just give it a bit of sharpening. Again, I don't want to overdo this. Go maybe 3 at most. It does bring in a bit more detail. It's not a huge difference, subtle difference, as I said. And now I'm going to go up here to the feathering slider, and I'm going to give it a bit of feathering. This is just going to blend it in with the existing part of the photo a little bit better. Again, I'm not going over the top with the feathering, so we can see now. You can see now, just these areas here. The looks like Christmas lights are a little bit more clear. You can see just a little bit more definition in some of the brickwork here. Like I said, I didn't go over the top. I've got a copy here. You can see that, in this section here, looks a little better. Let's slide that back over there. So let's zoom in. So that's that part of it. So the next part I'm going to work on is now this part down in here. You could do it in a similar fashion to what I just did up there. Click around here with the lasso tool. You can actually go up the trunk of the tree. I wouldn't go up past this brickwork, and I'm going to show you how to restore that brickwork in a minute. But first I'm going to do another little trick over here with the magnetic lasso tool, and I find this works really well. So now on this section, as I said before, I'd really like to bring in a bit more color and a bit more detail down here in this bottom section, but we don't need so much of it up here. So how are we going to accomplish that? Watch and see. Lasso tool, and this time I'm going to zoom in, and I am going to go outside of the pathway with my lasso tool, which means I'm going to need to click a lot more to get it so that it's not following the too close to this this area between the pathways, it's going to hug that. It does a bang up job of it. This is occasion when you don't want it to. Now, there is another little handy thing we can do here. I can turn this off. And now I can just click and I could drag and make my own selections here as to where I want it to go. I could go out there if I wanted to. Don't want it to go out there. So basically, we're just clicking and add points to create our own region. Now up into here, I'm not even going to worry about going up and around there because most of that we're going to be feathering out of it. It would feather out of it anyways. Or rather, we're going to make it transparent up there anyways. So then I'm just going to go down here. Yeah, and maybe we'll just go out and around there. Over here. Over here. Over here. As you can see, I'm really not being all that accurate. We're going to be applying feathering to this anyways. Down here, and now I'm going to go up to here. And I'm going to go over to here, and I'm just going to click on that. So now that we've got our selection done, I'm going to click and enable this again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control C, and this is going to copy a chunk of our photo to the flip. We've got a little error happening here. I guess that's because I've gone outside here. So I'm going to cancel that. It's overlapping the outside of the photo. That's why I'm getting that little error. So I am going to just undo a few points back. And at this point, we're going to go back to our magnetic tool, make sure it's enabled again. And this time I'm going to select and I'm going to put that node there. And I'm going to hit that one down here. And now it is going to follow the edge of our photo. Exactly. Now when I go Control C to copy to the clipboard, it should work. Now you'll see our region has disappeared. And that is because now I'm going to go Control Shift V. Now what I've done is I have pasted in place the chunk of the photo that I just copied out. And I can click here, see I can move that off, and it's an exact. And Control Shift V, paste it exactly in place, which is what we want. Now I'm going to go to the photo tools, and I am going to go into the page and layer gallery over here. You can see I've got it open because it's created this as a photo group. We're going to go down here and we're going to select our clipped photo. Now you can see we've got the photo editing handles up. That's what we want. You could probably also have just held down the Control key and done that. Now I'm going to darken this. Right, like we did before. About 14 or so. And add some contrast. Desaturate. And the other thing we are going to do is add some sharpening. Again, we don't want to do too much with this. We want this to have a subtle look to it. So now if I go to the selector tool and select this, you can see we're seeing the edges in here. of our selection, and that's not what we really want to see. I'll deal with those in a minute, but first I am going to take the transparency tool and I'm going to click just above about here, and I'm going to drag, and I'm going to drag this on in more because I want to see more of it on here and less of it over in here. And we're just basically giving this a linear transparency. And as you can see, I pull it off and you can see it's just, nice linear transparency. Put that back. Now we're going to get rid of the edges here that we can still see. And I'm just going to do that with the eraser tool. You can see I've got it already preset. It's got a large nib and a hefty amount of softness, so I'm just going to simply just go along those edges with the eraser tool anywhere where they're a problem. Up into here. Could actually go along into there. And that's about it for that. And that is how that's done. Now you could do the same sort of a trick in here. To bring up that. I'm not going to do it a second time because I'm already running longer on here than I anticipated. I'm just going to go over in here and I will quickly show you that we're going to use the photo clone tool, and I'm just going to quickly clone that out. And now basically over in here we've got a shadow in here and it's blown out in here. So we want to, I'm just going to take and I'm going to go from about here down, and then I'm going to make this a fairly narrow selection. I'm going to follow this. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to get this selection of the bricks that are more in between his legs. So I'm just going to click here. I'm going to pull that over until that meets up. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my eraser tool and I'm going to go into our clip photo group. Make sure we've selected that cloned area, and I'm going to just erase off some of the darkened area. You can see now that's brought back a little bit more texture in there. And you could simply draw another section in here, another narrow section here, and simply repeat it. You can use, a bit darker area from over here or up in here. And you can repeat that. The other nice thing about the clone tool is you can go back in, select that clone with the selector tool, and you can flip it. You can flip it in either direction. You can rotate it a little bit. Rotate it that way a little bit more. And when you have to make multiples, if you rotate things and flip things and rotate things a little bit more, you can actually get a very natural looking replacement on it. So I'm not going to go into doing the whole thing, But I do have down here a finished version that I've lost my mask here on this one for somehow. Don't know how that happened. Don't know what I did, but you can see the cloning in here anyways as to how that looked. At the very end of fixing your photo, oh, I was going to show you this, how I did this. This was simply and easily done by, go to the trees, back to the lasso tool, and again I just used the magnetic lasso and I went close together around the brick or the step or whatever that is, and then I went out into here and I just clicked and let it kind of follow the discoloration. And then if you just kind of go all the way over here to this tree trunk, and again put down below the photo a little bit over here at this corner again, it's going to follow the photo nicely up there to finish it off. Back to the Photo Enhance tools, and I'm going to start by desaturating this a little bit to remove most of that color, and then I'm going to go to the Photo Hue tool to bring back some of the sepia tones in it, and I'm just going to bring this over into the kind of a yellowy orange, and then I'm just going to bring back okay, I think I desaturated that too much to show. I did. Back off on the desaturation just a bit. And I'm going to back off on the strength of that photo. It's too yellow. Bring it over. You kind of get the idea. I'm getting more of a orange tone to it. There's still going to be a bit of discoloration down in here. Okay, try warming it up a little bit. And that's going to lessen it too. And then I'm just going to give this a little bit of feathering. And we've certainly lessened that discoloration a lot. I haven't taken it all out. But again, as I said before, oh, how did that get moved up? As I said before, the whole idea here is to have a subtle edit to your photo. We don't want it overdone. Once you're finished doing this, you're going to have bits and pieces like this that are loose. So what you can do, you've got two choices here. You can simply group it in order to have everything still editable. Or if you want a bitmap for other uses that you aren't going to edit anymore, simply right click and create a bitmap copy. Simple and easy. So I hope this was helpful. I do apologize for this going on so long, and thanks for watching.